What's up everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are doing the ultimate list, the Holy Grail. I'm counting down my top 5 fantasy reads of all time, so far of course. Now if you're a fantasy fan, you know how hard it is to narrow down your entire reading history down to just 5 spots. But these are the books that completely took over my life, ruined my sleep schedule, gave me the worst book hangovers, and honestly, made me fall in love with reading all over again. We've got High Stakes Rebellion, absolute masterclasses in world building, and some of the best enemies to lovers romance ever written. Make sure to drop a comment below with your number 1 fantasy read of all time, so we can swap recommendations. Let's jump right into it. Kicking things off, at the absolute number 1 spot is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. If I had to describe the series in one word, it would be relentless. We follow Yarros, a lowborn red, working beneath the surface of Maas, who discovers that his entire life of grueling labor is based on a massive, tyrannical lie, told by the ruling gold. He undergoes a brutal transformation to infiltrate the golds and bring the society down from the inside. This is basically the Hunger Games meets Gladiator in space, but with a massive fantasy epic scope. The pacing is breakneck, the battle tactics are genius, and Pierce Brown is absolutely brutal with his characters. Nobody is safe. The sheer adrenaline of this series makes it impossible to put down, and that's why it holds the crown. Now, coming in at number 2 is an absolute titan of high fantasy, the Thorns of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. This is her epic high fantasy masterpiece, and it deserves every bit of praise it gets. We start relatively small with Selena Sardathian, a notorious assassin, dragged out of a slave labor camp to compete to become the king's champion. But what starts as a localized competition turns into an 8-book, world-shattering war involving ancient gods, lost kingdoms, and multi-continent armies. The growth of the characters across this series is staggering. The way SJM weaves plot threads from book 1 all the way to the massive finale in Kingdom of Ash is pure genius. It has some of the most emotional, tear-jerking sacrifices I've ever read. It's a massive investment, but the payoff is legendary. Sitting firmly at number 3 is a book that completely took the world by storm recently. And let me tell you, it lived up to every single bit of the hype. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. War College for Dragon Riders. Need I say more? We follow Violet Sorrengail, who spent her whole life trained to be a quiet scribe, only to be forced by her mother to enter the Deadly Riders Quadrant. In this school, graduation means surviving, and failing means literally burned to ash by dragons or killed by your classmates. The dragon lore in this book is incredible. Taryn and Adarna, elite tier fantasy companions. Combine that with a forced proximity enemies to lovers romance with Zayden Morrison that features top tier transitions, insane tension, and high stakes. And you get a book that you will finish in a single sitting. The cliffhangers in this series are criminal. If you read book 3, you know exactly what I'm talking about. At number 4 is a dark fantasy romance series that completely swept me off my feet. And honestly, more people need to be talking about it on BookTube. The Death series by Penelope Barsetti. This series kicks off with the Death King and introduces us to a dark, atmospheric world filled with dragons, deep political betrayals, and massive stakes. If you love dark fantasy romance with a truly powerful, intimidating, yet deeply complex male lead, this is it. The world Penelope Barsetti builds is beautifully grim and shrouded in mystery, and the tension between the main characters is incredibly high. The writing style is fast-paced, addictive, and it balances the high-stakes fantasy plot with intense, passionate romance perfectly. It's a darker, edgier ride than some of the others on this list, and it earned a permanent spot among my all-time favorites. Rounding out the list at number 5 is a series that truly needs no introduction, but absolutely earned its place on my all-time favorites list. A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Look, whether you started your fantasy journey here or found it later, there is no denying the absolute chokehold this series has on the community. What starts as a gritty, dark Beauty and Beast kind of retelling completely explodes into the massive, breathtaking world of fae courts, political intrigue, and incredibly deep character arcs. Feyre's journey from a starving human hunter to navigating the deadly high fae politics is so addictive, and let's be real. The shift from book 1 into A Court of Mist and Fury is arguably one of the greatest transitions in fantasy history. If you read it, you already know what I'm talking about. The character dynamics, the emotional stakes, and many sort of family elements make it an unforgettable ride to close out my top 5. So, those are my top 5 fantasy reads of all time. So far, of course. 5 incredible worlds, unforgettable characters, and a ton of lost sleep. I want to know your thoughts. Have you read these? Do you agree with the list? Or did your favorite get left off? Sorry about that. Let's talk in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a bookish video from me. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, happy reading.